Hi, my name is Kaitlyn and I'm an attorney with Murray Osorio. Today, I'm going to walk you through some tips, best practices, do's and don'ts for drafting your asylum statement. Okay, so when you're applying for asylum, it's because you are afraid of returning to your home country. And the asylum statement is one of the most important parts, in my opinion, of a successful asylum application. So it's important to get this part right. In your application, you want to tackle the main legal points of an asylum claim, but in a personal way that engages the person reading your application, who's either going to be an asylum officer or a judge. So in your statement, you should describe your fear of returning to your country. And this is going to be because you have either previously been seriously harmed or persecuted, or you fear that in the future you will be seriously harmed or persecuted. And this brings us to the second important part of what you're showing in your asylum application, and that's that you were persecuted or you will be persecuted. And so persecution specifically, an easy way of thinking about it is the bad things that happen to you or the bad things that will happen to you for a specific reason. So some examples in case law of what constitutes persecution are severe domestic violence, rape, arbitrary detention. So this includes getting arrested. For example, one example could be getting arrested from a protest, being held and never charged with anything, never being brought to court. Death threats and torture and interrogations are some examples that courts have considered persecution in the past. You have to show also that you are a member of one of the protected grounds, so one of the groups of people that asylum is designed to protect. Those protected grounds are your race, your religion, your nationality, or your membership in a particular social group. So race, religion, nationality are generally straightforward. Also your political opinion. That's one of the main ones as well. So political opinion can be something really specific, like I am a member of this specific opposition party, or it can be something more general, like my political opinion is in support of democracy, or something like that. Membership in a particular social group can be a little bit more amorphous. Some examples that may apply are, for example, gay men in El Salvador, or trans women in whatever your country. There are several others, but those are just some examples. You also, in your personal statement, want to show the reason for your persecution. So this is where you're linking these two things. You're linking the persecution and your protected ground, okay? So you need to show that the persecutor did the persecuting because of your membership in this protected ground. So, for example, if you are a gay man and a police officer beat you, and you know it's because you're a gay man, you need to explicitly state that in your statement, and you need to show in your statement why you know that. So for example, if while a police officer was beating you, he used a slur, a homophobic slur, he specifically said, it's because I saw you with your boyfriend, or things like that. You want to make sure to include those details. Same if you know that it was because of this, because other similar people were targeted in the same way. So let's say you were a gay man at a pride parade and the police went after a bunch of people in the pride parade. Those are important details that you want to include. You also want to show the inability or the unwillingness of the government to control your persecutor. So when the government is the persecutor, then this is pretty straightforward. So for example, if it's the police that persecuted you, if it's like an actual member of the government, a member of the ruling political party or something like that, then the actual government is doing the persecuting. Otherwise, you need to show that the government can't or won't control the persecutor. So perhaps your government turns a blind eye to even the most severe domestic violence. Then finally, you want to talk about your fear, and you want to describe it as both subjective and objective. So subjective fear is why you personally are afraid of this specific set of possibilities or this specific outcome. And then you also want to give the context of why your fear is objective. So why it's not just a personal fear. The fear makes sense, and other people would consider it reasonable that you're scared of this specific thing. All right, so we're going to go through about 5 do's and a couple of don'ts. All right, so do, write it in your best language. If that's not English, don't worry about it. Write it in whatever language is best, but then get it translated. You have to submit a translation into English of your declaration. You need to organize your declaration. So you can do this thematically or chronologically. People do it different ways. I personally do 99% of my declarations chronologically because I think it's easier to follow. You should also include specific dates when possible, and you should give specific examples. All right, so some don'ts are: do not be vague or general in your statement. I don't want you to say, I'm afraid to return to my country because it's violent there. It's too vague. The judge or the asylum officer can't really do anything with that. You also should avoid referencing general country conditions in your statement. So avoid giving a history of the politics of your country, for example. Avoid giving a lot of detail about like the religious conflict in your country or something like that. You want to make your personal statement personal and from your heart. You can include country conditions reports that you find online, like through the Department of State or Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International news articles, but you're going to include them in a separate part, so not the personal statement. The same goes for referencing asylum law. I don't want you to be doing that in your personal statement because your personal statement is really just your own personal story. If you want to include law, which your lawyer will, that's going to come in a cover letter or a legal argument, but the personal statement is just your story specific to you. Hopefully this has given you a few tips for your personal statement. And remember, it is the most important part of your case. So spend a good chunk of time on it. And as always, if you want to talk to a lawyer about it, feel free to reach out to our office. We do offer half-price consultations for people who find us on YouTube. All right, leave me your comments and I will do my best to respond as quickly as I can.